Imposter syndrome is something that is well documented to be really prevalent in creative fields. And if you're watching my videos, I'm willing to bet that, at least on some level, you're interested in photography. And photographers and imposter syndrome go together like photography videos and coffee. And that makes sense, doesn't it? Because photography in itself is a field where there's really no metric, no way to know if you're good enough to get clients or if you're good enough to get your work published. So it's all pretty much a guessing game, and it all just comes down to, are you good enough? Do you feel like you're good enough? Sure, there are courses that you can take, and in some places there are schools that you can take, but none of that guarantees any kind of success. Pile on top of that the fact that if you get your photo published somewhere, or you win a contest, you can easily just talk yourself into believing that it was a one-off and you just got lucky. So it really isn't a surprise how prevalent it is in photography and in photographers. So what's the fix then? How do you get rid of it? Well, I don't think you do, and I don't think you should. Hear me out. Imposter syndrome is very normal, and I don't think it really ever goes away. I mean, that's why the definition on Merriam-Webster is despite evidence of one's ongoing success. So I think it's safe to say that all of the professional photographers or the big names that you might follow have it still, even on their level, in some way. They have the same thing that you and I do. But I believe there's one thing that can make living with imposter syndrome significantly easier, and that's changing the way that you think about it. See, imposter syndrome stems from our own self-doubt, low self-esteem, or just inherent perfectionism. And all of those things work themselves or together in creating your thinking pattern that you're not good enough to charge for your work, or you're not good enough to get published. But what should you do if you're not good enough? Well, here's the annoying part. You get better. You stop thinking imposter syndrome as the evidence of you not being worthy, and instead use it as a pushing force. If I'm not good enough, if I feel this way, then I should just get better. I should learn more. I should pick up that photography book, or I should do that photo shoot that I've been thinking about. And that way you will get better. After you've taken 10,000 photos, taking the next one is significantly easier than taking your first one or your 100th one. It's mundane, but still exciting. You're focusing on the art side instead of, am I doing this right? And on the flip side of that, as a confirmation of sorts, if you turn that on its head, if you were to get rid of imposter syndrome completely, then I would argue that at that point you would feel like you're at your peak. There's nowhere to go but down. You're the best that you will ever be, and there's nothing more to learn. If you feel like there's nothing more to learn and yet there's no way to improve, well, why carry on? Why continue? I would argue that at that point you will stagnate, and at that point you lose passion. Because passion is what drives us forward. The enjoyment of doing good work and seeing, hey, I was able to do this. And if you feel like you're at your peak, then you're just expecting to do good. And of course, me just saying this might seem like it, but I am not saying that making a mental shift is easy or a quick thing to do. It's just something that you should keep in mind whenever you feel that imposter syndrome taking over. Because if you manage to do it, not only will it be extremely good for your own well-being, it will definitely show in your work as well. It's just the fact that imposter syndrome is so prevalent in any creative field due to something like photography being so very subjective. You might look at the best photo of all time and think it's just, not for me. Or you might take photos that you haven't found the audience for, so you think they're not good, but you think that they're extremely beautiful. And both of those opinions or views are completely valid. If you haven't found other people who don't find your work beautiful, then you just haven't found your audience yet. Maybe it's a smaller audience. In some sub-categories of photography, the audience sure is small. But in some other ones, it's a lot larger. So it's difficult to compare those. The point is, if you're taking photos and you're loving the work that you're doing, then you are already a photographer. Not more complicated than that. Sure, you might not make money yet, but that comes with finding the clientele. So when success is that abstract, then it is extremely safe to say that even the most prominent, biggest photographers out there most likely still feel imposter syndrome on some level, but they've just gone to accept it, or live with it, or use it as a tool. But honestly, what do I know? I'm just a random bearded guy from Finland taking photos and shooting YouTube videos. If you have any stories of imposter syndrome, or if you have any stories about overcoming imposter syndrome, let everybody know, or at least let me know in the comments below, because I would love to read about it, and that way we can all help each other with this same problem that we're all facing. In any way, have a great rest of your week, everyone, and I will see you all next time. Okay? Bye.